Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we've got a lot of breaking updates today. So the first news is coming from the Ukrainian-Russian border. As we talked about in the last video, Ukraine launched a big operation into Russian territory. As a result, here, if you can see these blue markings with the yellow outlines, the Ukrainian forces are stating that this territory is under complete Ukrainian control in Russia. So even the Russian sources are stating, I've marked this grey, the Russians are stating that Ukrainian forces were spotted outside of this city right here. If we actually measure the distance between this city and the border, we come up about 20 kilometers. In miles, it would be 13 miles. So really big advancements. The Ukrainian sources have been stating that they've captured hundreds of Russian soldiers due to this operation. If you can see here, we've gotten footage of these videos. Huge columns of Russian soldiers were captured. So if you can see this video is claiming that 70 soldiers were captured, and this video is stating that hundreds were captured. So Ukrainian sources are stating that they have captured huge amounts of Russian soldiers. We got news coming from the emergency meeting that was held in Moscow between Putin and the defense minister Shoigu and the Russian general of the operation in Ukraine, Gerasimov. So experts have actually studied Putin's body language in this video. So they're stating that Putin's body language states displeasure with Gerasimov. So a lot of experts are stating that Gerasimov might be fired soon because of this. We'll call it a kind of a breakthrough what Ukraine did on Russian territory. But now the Ukrainians have actually stated that the Ukrainians have announced an evacuation from 23 settlements on the border of the Sumy region. So now Ukraine is actually evacuating the residents on the Sumy region. So Ukraine is expecting when Russia actually pushes this out of Russia, they're going to continue to go into Ukraine and create a buffer zone, so this will never happen again, like what they did in the Belgorod sector here. So, pretty big news. We also got news come from Kiev that Ukraine did not inform the United States of this attack in the Kursk region. And at the same time, they stated that weapons supplied by the United States and Western countries are being used in the military operation in the Russian territory. The United States is in contact with Ukraine regarding the military actions in the Kursk region and considers Kiev's actions its sovereign decision, stated the department. So, very interesting. So, America doesn't seem to be really bothered about this. And probably the biggest news today, so this is a big rumor that's been going around. So, there's been reports about an attempted assassination attempt on the Ukrainian Defense Minister Umanov. So he was apparently targeted in Kiev when an explosion device actually went off. So the minister was taken away by an ambulance. So this is a big rumor that's been happening. So this is reported by a Ukrainian blogger, so it's not been officially confirmed so far. So very interesting. And really pro-Russian forces have actually stated this and has released this video. So this video is claiming that the Russian forces have shot down the first NATO-supplied F-16s in Ukraine. So again, I'm not sure about this. This is what's been circulating in the Russian Telegram channels. So very big news. If this is the F-16, if this is the first F-16 that's shot down in Ukraine, the person who shot this down will be $180,000 richer because there is a bounty on the first fighter jet, F-16 fighter jet that is destroyed. So very interesting. We've also got news coming from a Russian oligarch in Russia. So he stated that the time to use tactical nuclear weapons has come. The Russian Orthodox oligarch Konstantin has stated, and reacts to the Ukraine's invasion of the Kursk region, stated him. So he stated that the Russia's tactical nuclear weapons have waited for their time. They are to be weapons of victory. The specific point of strike will be determined by the military command. Give the civilian population 48 hours and finally end this war. He stated that history completes another circle. 79 years ago, in the days of August, the Americans made the demonstration of their nuclear power over the peaceful Japanese cities, and thus ended World War II. Now, a demonstration of Russian nuclear power over military and infrastructure facilities should prevent World War III. So this was stated by Constantine. So very interesting and very concerning statements. We've also got news coming from the Kursk region that gas prices in Europe has increased by 5.8% after the Ukrainian attack on Russia's Kursk region. So very interesting. Now we're going to move to Bulgaria, where Bulgaria has banned LGBT in schools. So they stated that they banned LGBT propaganda in schools. So this is coming from Bulgaria. So Bulgaria has banned LGBT in schools. I never thought I'd be talking about Taylor Swift on non-scene news, but here's the first day. But we got news that Taylor Swift had to cancel a concert in Austria after terror threats. The Austrian media reports that at least 3 suspects, still a large connection in ISIS, plotted an attack on Taylor Swift's concert. So a big terrorist attack was about to happen, the concert of Taylor Swift, but she has cancelled this trip. So very interesting. And the next news is coming from Ireland. So Ireland is to cut payments to Ukrainian refugees, stated the Euro News. So Ireland is set to significantly cut welfare payments to refugees from Ukraine, dropping them from €232 a week to €38 a week from September the 1st. The move has been criticised by left-wingers in Ireland, who says it will increase poverty and distract political attention from other domestic issues. These payment cuts will bring Ireland in the line payments in France, where France gives €47 a week, and Germany, where they are less than €120 a week. So very interesting. Ireland is now cutting payments to refugees for Ukrainians. We've got news coming from Turkey, Turkey. So Turkey has announced that it is now joining the South Africa's lawsuit against Israel. So this was filed before the International Court of Justice. So Turkey has now joined South Africa in trying to get a lawsuit in Israel. So very interesting, and this lawsuit is about the what Turkey and South Africa state the genocide case. The next news is coming from Syria, where Syrian tribal forces backed by the Assad government have mounted an assault along this whole river here. So these tribal forces have captured numerous cities, villages or cities. So they've captured this one. Oh, I can't pronounce these names, sorry. They've captured this one, they've captured this one, and they've captured this one. So the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, Kurds, are bringing in reinforcements to stop the advance of these Assad-backed rebels. Troops are approaching the US base too, so these rebels are approaching US bases. So very interesting. So they obviously want to pick a fight against the Americans. So we can actually see videos of these rebel forces. You can see here in your bottom left corner, these are the rebels that are going in and capturing all the cities. And we've got on news that these Syrian tribal forces have actually surrounded this oil refinery here. So these rebels have completely surrounded this oil refinery, and they're closing into this oil refinery here. And it's also noted in this source that there is also a US base nearby. So this source is clearly stating that the next target from here is a US base, which they doesn't actually state where the US base is. So next in line for these Syrian rebels are this US base. So very interesting. The next news is coming from Iraq, where we've got news that the Iraqi parliament takes the first step to lower the legal age of marriage for girls from 15 to 9 years old. So this was stated by the Iraqi government. Now, next in line is coming from Israel. So apparently Israel jets have been spotted over the Lebanese capital. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, people are stating that these jets were breaking the sound barrier over the city. So if this is Israeli jets, this kind of shows a big hole in the Hezbollah air defenses over Lebanon. So very interesting. So Israeli jets are spotted over Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. The next news is coming from Jerusalem, where Macron has called the Israeli Prime Minister and the Iranian President. So the French President Macron has called the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to avoid the quote-unquote cycle of retaliation in the Middle East conflict during a phone conversation. The BFMTV podcasters reported. Macron has also reportedly made the same call to the Iranian president. So the French president added that a possible war between Israel and Lebanon would have devastating consequences for the entire region, the report read. So very interesting. Iran has warned airlines worldwide to avoid its airspace due to military exercises in Iran. So Egypt has actually taken this advice. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, all Israeli air flights are now avoiding Iran. So very interesting. The next news is coming from Pakistan. That's Pakistan has allegedly stated that in the event of a full-scale war between Iran and Israel, Pakistan is ready to supply Tehran with the Shaheen 3 ballistic missiles with a range up to 2,750 kilometers, stated the Jerusalem Post. So 2,750 kilometers, so let's say from the very back of Iran. So from the very back of Iran, Iran would be able to hit Israel with these weapons. So very interesting. The next news is coming from Mali and Niger. So Mali and Niger has appealed to the UN Security Council to investigate Kiev's support for terrorism groups in northern Mali. And earlier, prior to this event, both countries have severed diplomatic relations with Ukraine. So Mali and Niger has requested and appealed to the UN Security Council to investigate Kiev's support for terrorism groups in northern Mali. Next news is coming from Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe is to phase out US dollar in favor of own gold-backed currency. So Zimbabwe's cabinet has approved a roadmap to phase out the US dollar in favor of its own gold-backed currency, ZIG has stated. So the finance minister of Zimbabwe has planned to present a de-dollarization strategy next week. So very interesting. So a lot of countries around the world are now trying and abandoning the US dollar. The next news is coming from Vietnam and China. So the frigate Tran Hung Dao of the Vietnamese Navy has arrived at the Chinese naval base in Zhangjiang, and it will visit for at least 5 days. So this is a part of the annual cooperation ceremony between China and Vietnam. So very interesting. And the next news is coming from China is that China has begun and has successfully launched another satellite into orbit. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, this is one of the rockets that made its way to space. We've got news coming from Mexico that Putin has been invited to Mexico. So Putin has been invited to Mexico's inauguration. So very interesting news, and Ukraine has actually requested Mexico to arrest Putin if he comes to the inauguration of Mexico. So very interesting news. So potentially Putin might be visiting Mexico in the near future, and Ukraine has ordered and kind of asked Mexico to arrest Putin if he gets to Mexico. The last news is coming from the US, where Donald Trump, the former US president, the former 45th president of the United States, made a little clip. So here you go. It's about 1 minute long, so give it a watch.
The left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are bad people. These are sick people we're dealing with. But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply. So don't even think about it. We will not shut down our schools. We will not accept your lockdowns. We will not abide by your mask mandates. And we will not tolerate your vaccine mandates. They rigged the 2020 election, and now they're trying to do the same thing all over again, by rigging the most important election in the history of our country, the 2024 election, even if it means trying to bring back COVID. But they will fail because we will not let it happen. When I'm back in the White House, I will use every available authority to cut federal funding to any school, college, airline, or public transportation system that imposes a mask mandate or a vaccine mandate.
So very interesting news of Donald Trump, but that's all that I have for you today. So I am Nonce News. I'll try and provide you news that the medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.